Hello, everybody. I'm George from Ireland. So thanks for coming back to my channel or visiting for the very first time. And this is about Wes Streeting, in case you don't know, the health secretary, who was very clever, a very cunning politician, Labour MP, of course, for, is it Ilford South? Anyhow, so I think I mentioned this in an earlier video, but I wanted a video. This is the headline: Wes Streeting is going to be sacked. Remember what you heard, where you heard it first. So when, I'm not saying it's today or this week, or maybe even this month. I reckon within 3 months. I'll be very, very surprised if he's health secretary at the end of this year. Now, why? I mean, partly from underperformance, but failure isn't really a problem in the Labour cabinet. They're almost all failing. Look at Angela Rayner. It was for tax evasion, lying. It was for blackguarding her solicitors and so on that she resigned. Not because house building has fallen to the lowest level in 12 years, despite her promising to massively increase house building and things like that, because that was a particular brief as deputy prime minister. Starmer's a failure on all sorts of fronts. No, that's not a problem. Gross incompetence, screwing up, underperformance doesn't bother them at all. And that would have been true in the previous Conservative government as well. It's really for undermining Starmer, briefing against him. Starmer's so feeble that he hasn't sacked Wes Streeting. Now, that's partly because Starmer's lost so many other people, things that might look bad, like Lord Mandelson, the former ambassador to the US, Morgan McSweeney, the Prime Minister's chief of staff, obviously his press secretary, the cabinet secretary, that was that transport secretary. I can't remember who else there's been. And now, no doubt, more to come. Although the deputy PM was a titan to fall, but Wes Streeting will as well, because Wes Streeting fancies himself as prime minister. He's very vain. It rubs some people up the wrong way. You can see that he manages his hair and makeup and eyelashes with the greatest of care. So an egomaniac. Now, I revile him. He's evil. Wow, he's absolutely sick what he's doing to people in the NHS, particularly children. It's appalling and it's criminal. But, as part of the course was the whole Labour cabinet involved in all that. But that's not what he's going to be got rid of. Starmer completely approves of this revolting crimes that Wes Streeting commits, and Starmer's ultimately answerable for those. The problem is that he's trying to get Starmer out. Well, that's going to happen pretty soon anyway. And Wes Streeting wants to be PM himself. He's not very popular amongst the Labour grassroots. He's made himself even more popular because he's destabilized the government. He's set them against each other's throats, and he didn't actually have the gall to move all the way. If he had the courage to stick the knife in, he might have succeeded. He might have been prime minister right now. I don't think so, but I would have given him maybe a 30% chance. So step one, get Starmer to go, and obviously step two, to win a leadership battle in which Angela Rayner will come in, and possibly others will pile in. He's seen as the right of the party. Now, evil though he is, he's not insane, and he's got moderate economic policies. Angela Rayner is a firm believer in the magic money tree and just regulating the economy out of existence, making it just impossible to employ people. The rise in unemployment amongst the young is partly because the tax rises, or the national minimum wage rise, or the national insurance rise, and so on, but also all this onerous legislation, which employers can be sued to kingdom comes, and employers have almost no rights, and workers have just unwarrantable rights. It's just unmanageable. But Wes Streeting is also the way he massages the figures very roughly in the NHS to make it sure like the waiting list is going down when it's not. So they've been fiddling the figures. And obviously the last Labour government did this as well. This is how they count things. What they count, what they don't count is extremely misleading. It's mendacious. About who's on elective care and the different pathways they're taking and things like that, whether waiting for a first appointment or a subsequent appointment or scans of surgery and so on. So removing people from waiting lists when their care hasn't been completed, unreported removals, paying private companies to fiddle the figures as well. It's scandalous and undemocratic. So the Public Accounts Committee pointed out that the NHS waiting time tickets targets have not been achieved and so on. So they are. He's cooking the books like this with the NHS data to make it look as though things are improving when they're not. They're actually getting worse. But why isn't the media shouting from the rooftops about this? It shows the leftist bias. Conservatives absolutely caned over this kind of thing, and rightly so, you may say. And partly that was coronavirus, but the situation was getting worse since 2016, so you can't completely blame coronavirus. But what I would do is I'd say, well, we'll pay for you to go to whatever country has got good enough healthcare and have it done there, to Romania, to India, to wherever, and that might actually be cheaper than having done it in the United Kingdom. We might even pay the private sector in the UK to do it, and that might be a saving, even though it costs more per operation in the private sector than the National Health Service, because it might be save us money, because it'll get worse and be more expensive if we delay this for months or indeed years. So some people will die, or they'll be suffering for longer. So that's why it's got to be done. But yeah, so Wes Streeting's got to be got rid of. I don't think he'll be seen as much of a martyr. There's not that much sympathy from the Labour benches or in the Labour grassroots. He might have been the sort of the stop Rayner candidate, the only one who could keep her out. But there are other people saying, like, what's his name, John Healey, the Defence Secretary. But I think he's pretty seen as much too old. Is he pale, male, stale, dull, been in Parliament forever, and so forth. So I don't think it'll be him. But I detest them both. But yeah, I mean, they're both evil, but he's more directly involved in the absolute evil. A very, very cruel and vicious person, despite his urbane persona, and yeah, he's very presentable. He's kind of in control of his emotions. He's quite guarded and so forth. He's deeply disingenuous. He's a man of vaulting ambition. So he is really detestable and despicable. Just exactly what you expect for a Labour MP. And many Conservatives are just as bad as well. But that is Wes Streeting. So I would really like him to get a taste of his own medicine, the punishment he deserves for his appalling offences against morality, against common humanity. But, his evil behaviour is the sort of thing that's rewarded, lavishly, promoted, pecuniarily rewarded, and in every other sense. So what a sick and topsy-turvy society we live in, when an absolute ogre like him is loaded with victor's laurels. So, if I had my way, people like him would be treated harshly. But the Labour Party adulates people like him, despite his just unspeakable offences. Anyway, thanks for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate PayPal, georgecallan79@gmail.com. Goodbye.